Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. It's been a while and I decided to do a different sort of video today. Today is all about how to recover after you have a crash. I haven't posted in a while, over 3 months in fact, because I had a pretty bad crash in the month of September. And unfortunately, as a result of that, I was knocked out for over a minute. I had a low-grade AC separation in my shoulder, some microfracturing of my pelvis, and then I also broke the navicular in my foot, and that's been the hardest one to return from. It's taken a while to try and let that heal, and it's been really hard to sit around and kind of do nothing in the meantime. But as I was sitting here, actually as I was sitting at my house trying to decide if I was going to go riding this weekend, there were a lot of doubts that crept into my mind. Part of that is just spending a lot of time off the bike and then coming back, and so it's like a new feeling. You just got to get used to it again. And the other part of it was the way in which I had crashed. So, I'm not going to mention any particulars like the individual or anything like that, but it was a crash on a large jump. And, I didn't really do anything wrong. I came off the face of the jump. It was a blind jump. It was probably 90 feet. And when I was in the air, I noticed that another rider was on the landing. On his motorcycle, not like already crashed or whatever, but just kind of cruising across the landing. And he didn't see me, obviously, when I was coming around, and I couldn't see the landing of the jump when I was hitting the launch. So it was a really scary feeling, being in the air and just being helpless. I clipped his bike. Thankfully, he was completely okay. But that crash that ensued really hit me hard, and that was the first major crash I've had in over 10 years. It's a dangerous sport, and stuff like that's gonna happen. Those just random, I don't know if coincidence is the right word, but just crap happens sort of thing. And so, it's taken mentally a lot to just try and get to a place where I'm ready to hit the track again. And so anyway, that's the past, that's how we got till now. So I've spent the last few months working out however I can, but definitely, gained a little weight. I think I'm a little flabbier than I was when I initially crashed, and I felt like I was in pretty good shape then. It's my first day on a new bike. It's over here. It's actually a 2022 Yamaha 450. And that crash that I had was the first day on the bike. So literally first ride, things like mint, felt awesome, crashed and just destroyed the bike. So getting the bike back in shape is one thing, and then getting myself back in shape is the other thing. All right, so now that I've given you the backstory, I want to talk about some things that you probably want to do before getting back on the steed and getting back out on the track again. The first thing is, depending on how long your bike's been sitting for, you're going to want to go around, you're going to want to check the spokes, make sure they're tight, because they'll just naturally loosen over time, especially if you've got weather swings in your area. You want to make sure that the tires are still inflated. In general, I always pump them up to an excessive amount before I go to the track, so that all I have to do is let air out of them, knowing that overnight they'll get cold and then it'll heat up and it'll expand again. I usually bleed the forks first time I get back to the track. So you're familiar, it's a screw on the top of the fork. It'll let any air that's built up in there out of it. Obviously, I've got a conventional spring fork, I don't have an air fork. That's worth noting. Don't let the air out of your air forks. Beyond that, going around with whether it's a screwdriver or a wrench or whatever you got handy, just making sure that all the bolts, screws, nuts, everything are tight, that nothing, again, has come loose over time. I noticed on my bike that the bolts on the plastic had come loose. Thankfully, it seemed like forks and everything were good, so that's a good sign. And then the last thing you might want to check, depending on how long it's been, is any gas that you've had sitting in it. If it's been a really, really long time, you might want to consider draining the gas and putting new fuel in there. Or even if you have a can that's in the garage or whatever, and it's just been sitting there and the gas has been aging a long time, you might want to consider just refreshing it out. So that's the first thing. Make sure your bike is in order. Ride it around at the house before you head off to the track. Make sure that everything's firing properly, so you're not going to get to the track and then be unable to ride or have any surprises when you're on the track. The next thing is personally. There's this big mental gap, I think even more than physical, when you get back on the track and back on the bike after a while. And the hardest part is maybe even the night before, trying to decide if you're gonna go. You know, here in Colorado, the weather's kind of all over the place this time of the year. I believe it's December 23rd today. And, you know, thankfully it's nice enough to get out here, but there was a chance of rain. And I'm just looking at the forecast going, man, do I want to deal with that? You know, I'm looking for perfect conditions on my first day back. I want to go to a track that's not going to be like super crowded. Obviously, I don't want to go anywhere on a race day. I just want to get in a day of practice and just get used to riding again. Especially since I have a new bike, I need to dial in some of those clicker settings so that I'm really comfortable on it. And so that night before, it's just kind of telling yourself, you know, I'm going to wake up in the morning, and if the weather's nice enough, the track is open, I'm just going to go. And set your expectations really low, and that, you know, I'm not going to go set any record lap times. I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to do my best, and I'm just going to have fun on the motorcycle again. I'm going to get those reps in, because no one gets faster when they're sitting on the couch. So that's the mindset first and foremost. And then the next thing is that morning, you know, waking up early and giving yourself plenty of time to like mentally and physically prepare. For me, that's actually making myself breakfast burrito, coffee, just kind of getting to sit there for a minute and just get in the zone. As a Christian, I pray a lot every day when I go riding the night before. And I'll be honest in saying that there's been a lot of prayer, not just for myself, but for all the other riders out here, and just getting mentally and physically ready. And that we just all have a really fun, safe time out here. It's a privilege to get to do what we get to do, and I don't take that for granted. The other thing for me is I actually had my first kid since the last time I went riding, so that's really changed my mentality. I'm a father now. You know, I have another individual in my life that's looking up to me and counting on me to provide, so I can't afford to be on the ground. I also don't sleep as much as I used to, so recognizing that, you know, there's gonna be times where I'm gonna be tired or whatever, and that's okay. But I like to take a slow morning. Again, I like to even maybe prepare all of my gear and everything that I can the night before, so that I'm not rushing that morning, just sliding into things. I've woken up plenty early, so I give myself time to get to the track. And, you know, even other things night before, like I'll clean my goggles, you know, I'll fold my gear up, put it in the gear bag. And really the only thing I'll do morning of is just prep a cooler to go and just make sure everything's, you know, loaded into the truck. Same thing with tools. Make sure your toolbox is fully loaded. I forgot my camping chair today, so I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck. That's just one of those things where I've been out of it for a little bit, so that happens. And then honestly, loading the truck and driving away in the truck is almost the hardest part, because you're like, I'm committed at this point. You know, the next hardest part is getting to the track and unloading everything and looking at the track and going, okay, I can do this. So you're unloaded, like I said, you've prepped the bike, and now you're ready to go onto the track. Once I'm on the track, and this is regardless of whether I'm coming back from injury or, you know, I've ridden a bunch of consecutive weekends, is I'll always take the first lap as a sighting lap, because you never know what they've changed on the track. You don't know if there's any mud holes or potholes or dry spots, whatever it is. You know, you want to go take a look for those things and make sure that you are aware of the track conditions. You are aware of the other riders that you're going to be riding with on that day. And after you sight it out, it's starting with the smaller jumps and just working up to the larger things. Even if I feel like I can do them the second lap, if I've taken a bunch of time off, I like to build up to it, just force myself to get some reps in before I go hit the big stuff. I'm out here at IMI Motorsports Park today, and there's 2 really big jumps. I have another video on that and how to jump those, and kind of taking my own advice today. You know, working up to it, waiting till I feel comfortable with it, making sure I get a straight shot at it, that I'm in the right gear, all that stuff. And, you know, maybe even watching some other riders off of it and seeing how their bike is reacting and using that to help judge what I'm going to do. And then I've done 1 moto today, so if I do another GoPro while I'm out on the track, that'll be my 2nd moto out. I wanted to go get one in without thinking about doing any kind of video or anything like that. Just focus on riding my motorcycle. And I gotta say, it's so much fun. First lap's scary. You know, second lap you start feeling at home, and by the time I think I actually did like 8-9 laps, something like that, because I wasn't pushing, I wasn't getting as tired, but just focusing on breathing, focusing on blinking even, and not holding on too tightly, you know, proper hand position and body position. And by the end, I was just having a lot of fun. You know, there's another guy even out on the track that was going around the same speed, and I was marking him, and I was like, okay, if I keep up this pace, like I think that's a good pace for me. And now I can make some adjustments to the bike and just get where I'm comfortable again. But, you know, I just wanted to put this together because, like I said, I was having butterflies in my chest. I was nervous to go back out. It's only been 3 months. For some of you who've done really bad injuries, you know, it can be 6 months, 11 months, over a year, whatever it is. And it's really hard. It's a sport that I love, it's a sport that I've done my whole life, and it's hard, you know, even still to come back. So I hope you find this encouraging. Know that if you're injured right now, I'm praying for you to heal up and get back out there as soon as you can. And I think it's definitely worth it. It's definitely fun, and I'm also blessed that I have a wife who's understanding of my love of the sport and is encouraging of me getting back out here. So there's a lot of blessings in my life. And I'm just so excited to get out here. So without further ado, I'll strap this GoPro on for a moto. Like I said, nothing groundbreaking today, just getting in some laps. And I hope you enjoy this video. Bye. All right, Moto 2, here we go.
it.